This is the City Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
All right, so welcome back to the show. It's 7 minutes past 9. Now we're bringing you this our series on financial literacy, sponsored by ASEAN International with support from the Financial Inclusion Forum Africa. We will start with a skit, and then I'll be interviewing my guest Yao Jemfi on some of the lessons we can glean from the skit.
We see a man walking back and forth in his room. He sits and gets up, walks back and forth again, turns to a center table with a pile of documents on them, staring at him in the face. He looks so disturbed and unkempt. Suddenly, he begins talking to himself, but no words are coming out. Then, his phone rings. He immediately rushes for it. He checks who the caller is. It is Kojo. He picks the call.
Kojo, you just saved a life, eh? I need your help, else I might do something stupid.
What? Kofiche, what are you saying?
I've made a mess out of my life. Hey.
Man, stop kidding. It's not funny.
Kofi Che's tone changes as if he's crying.
Hey, Jack Kojo, I made a mistake, one that will haunt me forever.
What happened?
I went alone for Kwamna, and he had an accident and died. Jeez, what am I going to do?
Oh my God. Where are you?
Kojo, I'm at home, thinking of doing something stupid because right now as I speak to you, I am so broke, eh? It will take me more than 2 years to pay for that loan. I wish I could just disappear into the ground.
Okay, see, I'm coming over, okay? We will try everything we can to solve this situation. Please give me a few minutes, okay? Yeah, I'll be right there.
After talking to Kojo, he picks his phone and scrolls through his contacts. He gets to Sister. He selects the number and dial.
Good evening, sis.
Hello, how are you?
Great.
What's up?
Ajwa, there's a fire on the mountain. I need you right now. Are you home? I'm coming for you.
Why? What's the problem?
My best friend is in some sort of loan crisis. He's starting to borrow money for someone.
Big mistake.
I know, right? You are the expert in this. Please, I need your help. I'm on my way to pick you up. Please don't say no.
Kojo.
Coming in no time, please. I'm on my way. Thank you.
He cuts the call, picks up his car keys, and rushes out of the room. He drives off. In a few minutes, he is seen in front of Adjoe Chan's house. He parks his car and rushes in. He comes back out after 2 minutes with Adjoe Chan. They enter his car and drives off.
This issue better be worth it. He's a grown man and should have never made that mistake. Who does that? Stand in to borrow money for someone and now you want to die because you are in a tight corner.
He was only doing his cousin a favor. The guy just died from a motor crash yesterday. How was he supposed to know he'll be dying soon?
Hey, let's get to his house. Responding to you is not even worth it. You are not the victim.
They get to Kojo Che's house, park in front of the house, and enter it. Kojo rushes to his doorstep and begins shouting his name while Adjoe Chan follows. Kojo gets to the door where Kofi Che's hall is and opens it. He finds him sitting miserably on the floor, sifting through the loan papers.
Kofi?
Yeah.
Jeez, man, you look terrible.
I feel like hell itself, Kojo. I feel like hell.
Okay, I brought a visitor. Come on, get up.
Kojo grabs Kofi's hands.
Visitor, in this situation?
Kojo steps aside and Kofi sees Adjoe Chan.
Kojo, jeez, Kojo, you too.
Yes, I brought motivation.
Motivation?
Yeah, he has had a crush on you since we were in uni. By the way, he's an engineer now, a technical engineer on a ship. He earns quite an appreciable salary, but he only works freelance and he also owns a washing bay.
Kojo, this is not the time to have this conversation. I need money to pay back this loan. Hey, 156,000 cedis is no joke, buddy. No joke.
Kofi looks at her.
Oh, I'm sorry to disappoint
No,
you.
no, you haven't. I'm smiling because there is progress in your response now. You are very much down when I came in. So, Kofi Che, tell me all that happened.
I used my mansion as collateral for my cousin. And the money I borrowed was 60,000. And now he's dead. He's dead. And I also had borrowed another 60,000 cedis to invest in this tilapia business in the hope that it will yield for me to pay the debt later.
Oh, Kofi, no way. No wonder you wanted to die.
Kojo, yes. This means I owe 2 different loan companies now, which includes my cousin's debt and the tilapia business that backfired because the fingerlings died from some poisonous toxic waste from a factory that managed to flow into my fish pond. The worst part is I have an additional interest rate of 30% on both monies, and the repayment period was just 6 months. And the time is due in 1 week. Hey.
Wow. What are we going to do about that?
Yes, so Adjoa, what are we going to do? So I am now supposed to pay these banks 120,000 each plus 30% interest in a week from now. Kojo, this is why I want to die.
You are better than this, not death.
Kojo raised his head towards the ceiling.
Oh.
Okay. Let's find a solution to this problem. If I'm right, you're trying to tell me your cousin's sudden death has destroyed your payment plans and you already have other debts on your head. So it's either you magically disappear from this earth or you magically pay this debt.
Oh, Adjoa, yes. Adjoa, yes.
Okay. First of all, remember this and never ever make this mistake again.
Kofi Chain nods his head.
Don't you ever stand in to borrow money for anyone. Never, ever.
Kofi Chain nods his head again.
But you have, so let's move to the next step. Let's calculate the amount you have to pay.
Kojo jumps in and picks his phone.
Okay, so I've got a calculator. Let's begin.
Oh, Kojo, I have already done that.
Wow.
How much is it?
156,000 cedis.
Relax. You said you have a week left to cough up this money, don't you?
Yes, Adjoa.
What did you use as collateral to borrow the money?
My mansion and the washing bay.
Great. How much money do you make in a day?
Well, the washing bay makes between a range of 500 and 1,000 cedis a day. It varies sometimes.
So that means we can't rely on the washing bay. So, okay, what type of car do you drive?
Okay, so he has 3 cars. 1 Tundra, 1 Jeep, and 1 Benz 4MATIC.
Kojo, so the bankers will be taking my property very soon, and you are here talking about my car.
Okay, listen, we need to call your loan officer right now.
Why?
Because he or she can help you out with the situation. They are always there for us, and they always have solutions. Also, you need to avoid taking loans for risk businesses like tilapia rearing.
Adjoa, I would have made millions out of it.
Yeah, would have, but you couldn't. Also, avoid multiple loans. Why do you borrow cash for your cousin if you already have a debt to settle?
Family.
I'm a living example of this.
And he learns the hard way.
See, okay. By the way, I have some 100,000 Ghana cedis to help you with. In case you are unable to sell the car before a week. But I will have to take your 4MATIC Benz as collateral just in case.
Trust me, he will get a buyer at the auction for the Tundra and we might be able to pay for the debt if he's lucky, Kojo. But we need to see the loan officer ASAP. Some are even connected to auctioneers, so they might help.
Oh, Kojo, thank you very much. Thank you so much. I have learned something today, especially the advice not to ever take a loan on behalf of anyone, not even family.
I bet you have. Kojo, I may kill myself. Kojo, I may kill myself.
Charlie, it was a matter of life and death. But
Okay.
Okay, so let's get started. I told you motivation was here.
It's all right.
proper motivation.
Very interesting skit indeed. This is the second episode in Responsible Borrowing in the series that you deserve to know. So I have in the studio a financial consultant or expert, Yao Jemfi. Yao, great to have you. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard.
So this is a very interesting one. And so financial service providers ask guarantors or ask for guarantors, right, as part of the condition to access a loan. And this is standard practice. Now, in the case of what we just had, Kofi Che, he borrowed in the name of his friend. Now, let's talk about some of the risks to what Kofi Che did.
I think that the main thing here is that once you borrow for somebody, you carry the responsibility of making sure the person pays. And it comes with a huge risk. Now, in the case if Kofi fails to pay, just as we heard, unfortunately, it will stress you out because you have to cough up the money and pay. And then again, it will also reduce your disposable income because at that time, there's no way you can say, I'm not paying, because it will go against your credit history and other things. And so it brings you to a level where you become the bearer of all the hardship that will come with a failure to pay the loan.
So what are the options available to him? For example, in this case, he's being advised by his friend to sell one of his cars and use the proceeds to offset his debt. Is this something you would encourage people to do when they find themselves in such a position of overborrowing?
Yes, I will do that because if you maintain and say that, oh, I'm just holding on to my stuff, what will happen is that eventually you will lose them, especially where he pledges with a house. It's most likely you will lose the house. So if you have cars that we can sell and then offset the loans, why not? And so advisably, the person has to just sell those cars, get the loan paid, and then he'll be free.
Now, in listening to this kid, Kofi Che was surprised at the suggestion that he should inform a loan officer or his loan officer about the situation. How should financial service providers assist clients when they find themselves in such a situation?
But usually the loan officers are there as your relationship person, and they usually advise you on the options available to you anytime you default. And once it happens, you don't wait till you cannot do anything about it. From time to time, when you see things are getting tougher, you have to fall on them. They will give you advice. They usually will even ask you if the bank can do risk scheduling for you. But the fact is that you do those risk scheduling, it doesn't mean that the loan is taken away. Just that they will give you flexible terms for you to make sure you pay fully. But in this case, the guy had made a mistake by not talking to the loan officers because they always have the options and the advice that will be very, very useful to you at that period.
So is there anything Kofi Che or clients can ask financial service providers at the beginning of the loan approval process to understand what happens if they temporarily fall on hard times?
Yes, most of the time you have to ask about the processes at any point in time. What am I going in for? What are the key responsibilities and what happens if I fail to pay? Once you ask those questions, legitimately you get a number of options to fall on when it fails.
So what should a person look out for at the beginning before guaranteeing a loan for a friend or a family member?
I think the first thing you have to look out for is the credibility of the person that you are vouching for, which is very difficult to ascertain because you don't know their repayment history, you don't know even the cash flow that they have, because most people can lie about those things. And so you have to be 100% sure that you understand the person that you are really vouching for. And if you don't work on those things properly, it turns out to be bad for you as person granting or trying to get a loan for a colleague.
So what's the big takeaway for today in today's kit? What in your view is the biggest lesson today?
I think our biggest lesson is that for everybody who wants to take a loan on behalf of any other person, you have to make sure that the person has the capacity to repay, as well as the idea of making sure the person is credible so that you don't put your life and your history online.
Well, thank you for your insights. This is just week 2 of a long series of programs we'll be having every week on Tuesday on the Deserve to Know series, which is proudly brought to you by ASEAN International with support from the Financial Inclusion Forum for Africa. And my guest for last week and this week has been Yao Jin. I hope I'll see you again next week, Yao.